everybody. This is a council meeting for the municipality of the County of Annapolis. Welcome, everyone. We'll start with the roll call. District 1.
Bruce Pratt.
District 2.
Brian Buzzall.
District 3 is Alan Parrish, myself. District 4.
Alberta.
District 5.
Lynn Longmire.
District 6.
Alec Morrison.
District 7.
David Hudson.
District 8.
Michael Gunn.
District 9.
Wendy Sheridan.
District 10.
Brad Redden.
And District 11.
Diane Riddell.
Thank you very much, everyone. Welcome. Hope everybody had a good Easter. Are there any disclosures of interest for anything coming up on the agenda today that anyone might think they have a conflict? Seeing none, we'll move along to the approval of the agenda, the order of the day. There are a few matters I'd like to put before council for approval. You would have received a note from the clerk about attendance at the FCM meeting with Federation of Canadian Municipalities, which I believe is in Regina the first weekend in June. We're going to put that under 7.3 under new business, and we'll determine what councilors, if any, wish to go, and if there are more than 3, we'll have a draw. The next item is I'd like to put on the agenda is a discussion with respect to the upcoming meetings. There's actually 2 matters there. One is the video conferencing, so that'll have to go under 8.8 because we have to do that, have that discussion after we pass our council video conferencing policy, which is 8.2. And while we discuss that, we'll also discuss the, you've seen the policy with respect to procedure at council meetings, which might entail a lengthy discussion. And I'm told that staff intends to bring a complete revision of the human resources policies, which will be lengthy as well. So I'm going to put before council whether we want to have a special committee of the whole meeting to deal with those 2 matters, which might both be lengthy. So would someone like to move that the approval as amended? Moved by the Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor Longmire. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Next, adoption of the Municipal Council minutes, March 15, 2022.
Move to approve.
Move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councillor Redden. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Next, a special session of Council March 20, 2022. Would someone move?
Move to approve.
Moved by the Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor Crowley. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Next, the special session of Council March 29th, 2022.
Move to approve.
Moved by the Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor Hudson. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you, Council. There's no business arising from the minutes, so we'll move to councillor comments, and we'll start with District 1.
Thank you. I hope to give an update of how many businesses in District 1 were jumping into spring, but I'll leave that till May. I guess my only comment today concerns COVID. We're in the midst of the 6th wave. It would appear, I would urge everybody to continue to wear a mask, try to be socially distanced in order to protect all the members of society, some of those who are more susceptible to it, and to stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. District 2?
Yes, good morning. We held our general meeting in Port George a couple weeks ago and got all of our appointments done. Having some issues with volunteers. There doesn't seem to be very many that's stepping forward, so I kind of encourage the communities to make sure that we've had 2 years of COVID and volunteerism. It's kind of come to a halt there for a bit. But communities do need volunteers, so I encourage people to get out to the communities and help out, do what they can, get things back up and going. Even though we are getting high on the COVID list again, the communities are trying to get going because halls and stuff have a cost run, no matter if they're closed or open, and a lot of community halls are suffering. So hopefully the volunteers will step forward. Other than that, haven't had any complaints about the internet. Seems like it dropped and gone away. Thank you. So, and I see trucks on the road. I see people. I see the Xplornet vehicles everywhere. So hopefully they will step up the plate and do what the community needs. So, thank you.
Thank you. District 3, still quiet. I imagine it'll be another month or so before Clarence Community Market opens up. They have the lighthouse, that sort of thing, but we're still, seems like, in the grips of winter. So that's all I have to report. District 4.
Thank you. There's a fundraising event at the Round Hill Hall. It's in honor of Angie Kress, who was a prominent member of the community who has passed away. The plates are, it's takeout only at $12 a plate is a ham, scalloped potato, baked bean, and dessert. You have to order in advance. Call Linda at 877-4053. She saw it's important to get that along. We need to support our community events, and we talked about volunteers earlier, that volunteers are very crucial to our community staying in community. And I thank all those who have put the effort in to these kind of events. I received an annual request from Granville Ferry Hall for the year AGM coming up. I had to send regrets as I have another meeting that night that I was committed to. So I'll try to get to their organization again when they request me to be there. The upcoming countywide planning meetings should be announced soon. Hopefully there'll be large turnouts. Public input is going to be very crucial in this process. I've been talking and taking calls from many various issues. I won't get into the details, but I just want everybody to know that I'm always available to listen to concerns of my constituents. With the COVID restrictions becoming less, I will be getting out or making an effort to get out to the communities more than previously allowed by the health stipulations. I hope everybody had a wonderful Easter, and send best wishes from my family and myself. Thank you.
Thank you. District 5.
Good morning from District 5. I guess I would like to start by saying Councillor Bardo nailed it when he spoke about getting out and seeing citizens. It has been really tough. COVID has prevented us from doing so much of that, and I do feel a disconnect. So I do, in the future, plan to as well. Hopefully, as COVID starts to, lessen the ache on us, be able to see people in their communities and hear from them and their concerns. Spring is certainly evident out there. We're seeing the flowers bursting through the grounds, and that's so exciting, and it brings about a lot of hope. Over the past few weeks, I've attended several meetings, be it the Habitation Advisory Committee meeting, the Physician Recruitment and Retention, and REMO, which is the Regional Emergency Management Organization meeting. And I'm learning lots through all of that. I know Brendan Lamb has been instrumental in helping guide me through the information around rezoning. I had an opportunity to sit down with Carmen Kerr and discuss several issues that are of great concern in all of our communities, housing being one, and as well in my district, Port Wade's Lighthouse, and trying to find ways to bring that to completion. Citizens have been expressing through many texts and emails their, I guess, to some degree, happiness knowing that the internet still is continuing on, frustration that there's been some confusion around hookup sales and whatnot. There seems to be another group out there that's adding a little bit of that confusion. So the Seaside has expressed that they will ramp up their advertisement and help support the effort that the county had begun. Halls are busy, fundraisers are happening, and I just encourage everyone to get out there and support those efforts. They desperately need our fundraising support. They can't make it without us, and as Councillor Bardo mentioned, volunteers, and Councillor Connell, we need volunteers, and they kind of fell off out into a distance because everything had been closed down, but now more than ever, we need to see more of that. I guess Easter has come and gone. It was wonderful. I hope everyone had a great celebration with family and friends. Thank you.
Thank you very much. District 6.
Thank you. I want to begin with the commemoration this month of one of the most significant events in Canadian history. And that was over the Easter weekend of 1917 at the Battle for Vimy Ridge. And it has been described by many since then as the battle that made Canada a nation. Playing a significant role at Vimy Ridge and for the rest of the Great War was Nova Scotia's 85th Battalion, now commemorated by the Cape Breton Highlanders. Earth Day is Friday the 22nd of April, and folks will be busy in District 6 cleaning roads and lanes and bushes and deserted areas. The Cornwallis Park cleanup begins at 9 a.m. on Friday at the Community Garden, the corner of Brig Lane and Broadway. Coffee, treats, garbage bags, and gloves will be all available at that time. The market continues, the farmers market continues at the Deep Brook Lions Club Hall Wednesdays from 3 to 6. Another reminder about the well-awaited and appreciated return of the dinner theater events at the Clementsport Legion on Saturday the 30th of April and Sunday the 1st of May. We're glad to see that happening again. And I'm going to tell you what happened to me this morning. One of our colleagues came to me and made a donation for that dinner to be applied to some folks who might like to go, but for various reasons are not able to. And if anyone else would like to do that, just give me a yell. On the 14th of May at Velker Hall, the Cornwallis Park Community Center, there will be an appreciation lunch for community volunteers. Neptune's Fork is the name of the new restaurant at Basin View Center. Some of you may have seen the very vivid pictures of the dishes that are being tasted and of the setup of the restaurant. It's scheduled, I understand, to be open sometime in May. I hope it might be in time for Mother's Day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. District 7.
Thank you very much. Despite COVID, I hope everyone had a happy Easter. Because of COVID, many of us decided not to gather with family and friends over the holiday, and I wish to commend people for taking that decision. I think by doing so, they put the good of others really ahead of themselves, and I think that's worthy of note. COVID-19 cases are at an all-time high, and I believe that we all need to continue to exercise caution to protect ourselves and others. COVID is not going to go away very easily. I would also like to mention that there are 2 fundraising events in District 7 during the last week of this month. The first is the Bridgetown Lions Spring Takeout Dinner on April 28th. This is a maple glazed smoked ham dinner that comes with homemade baked beans, potato salad, rolls, desserts, etc. The cost is $15 a plate. The second is a stuffed roast pork dinner being put on by the West Dalhousie Community Hall on April 30th. The cost for adults is $15, youth between 5 and 12, $8, and under 5 is free. Lastly, many people in Bridgetown are very cautious or curious about the status of the sale of both the elementary school and the town hall. I've received many questions regarding those sales, and basically just have told them that there should be some information coming forward quite soon. Perhaps even today there might be something. Thank you very much.
Thank you. District 8.
Kate, thank you. Good morning and happy spring. I don't know if everyone's south-facing windows look like mine at home, but I'd like to wish everybody a happy gardening season. And I hope all of your seedlings produce wonderful things. April has brought some bittersweet endings in District 8. To begin, Myra Holbright, the longtime postmistress of Maitland Bridge, has retired after a 27-year career of dedicated postal service at her home in the community. While the search continues for a replacement location, I'd like to wish Myra my best for a peaceful and happy retirement. I'd also like to encourage anyone in the Maitland Bridge area who thinks their home or business might be able to house a postal outlet to watch for the relevant RFP from Canada Post. Meanwhile, Bear River is losing its latest restaurant. Taco Cat, Taqueria, continues. Conditions were such that they could not sustain their business in that location, mainly due to the lack of consistent access to potable water. They will be closing their doors next week. They will be moving to Mountain Gap Kitchens in Smiths Cove next month. So our loss is Digby's gain. Good luck to Ian and his crew on their next chapter. And finally, I've been contacted by several residents who are excited to hear that the former Greywood dump site will be the first in the area to be considered by council as a managed forest for our county lands. One constituent also suggested that we take the opportunity to showcase this initiative and to reach out to Midway Forest Cooperative and to work with them to develop an educational component to this project. I thought it might be good food for thought as we discuss it today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. District 9.
Thank you. As has previously been mentioned regarding the volunteers in the communities, because of the lack of volunteers, unfortunately, there'll be no Fort George Jamboree this year. And the Lions Club in Middleton District do a lot of the work there, and unfortunately there's not enough volunteers. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, we did do a spring cleanup in Utah Falls Park, and I just want to thank all the volunteers who did come up for that. Thank you.
Thank you. District 10?
Yeah, thanks. Not much. I have misplaced the details despite my 2-year-old's best efforts to help me get ready this morning. So we have a cribbage tournament coming up at the Burton Hall, and the village spoke with some excitement at their meeting this month about there being an actual AGM this year, which will involve the election of new village, what's the word for them? Use a different title for the village commissioners. That's it, village commissioners. And that is District 10.
Thank you very much. And District 11?
Thank you. Well, I hope everybody had a great weekend, Easter weekend with their loved ones. And I know that it's been difficult because of the uptake in numbers in COVID and the surrounding areas. However, I think that it needed to be with friends and family one way or another. And I saw, even if there's only 2 or 4 together, it was something to celebrate. Volunteers are always the main piece of our communities. Because of COVID, again, it's caused concern with individuals, and they have their own thoughts about volunteering, and I give them full credit for taking the responsibility in the way they're thinking, because this is a hard couple of years and you don't seem to be finished with it. And on the fact of volunteering, at the Three Rivers Community Center, they're having an indoor yard sale on Saturday, April 30th, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And there are tables available if you want to book a table. And it's 765-3838. All proceeds from the community hall table will be going towards the Ukraine relief. So they are participating to help others that are in need. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, councilors. Next, we go to new business. The first item is the Western Woodlot Services Cooperative Limited proposed harvest activity and description. There was a lengthy and detailed report or summary that was circulated to the councilors. I found it very interesting to read. There's not a motion here from staff, and in a discussion with staff before the meeting, it was suggested that what we should be doing today is referring this to staff to come back with a recommendation in May at the Committee of the Whole. Deputy Warden, would you like to speak to that?
I'd love to speak to it. We don't have a motion to bring that back.
No.
Well, I really don't quite understand what kind of recommendation staff is going to come back with an RFP and the rest of it. But anyway, if that's what they feel that they have to do, then that's what staff will have to do, because we as councilors don't do anything unless staff wants it. And so, yes.
Anybody else want to say anything with respect to that report? Councilor Cohen?
Yes, again, along with yourself, I did find it very interesting. It's, I've always kind of spent some time in the woods and enjoyed it, realizing what they're going to take out and what they're going to harvest, and what they're going to leave for seed trees. And I think it would be an excellent project for our county to have a showcase. And we've always talked, even in the past, is that a lot of times if we can lead by example, hopefully we can show a way of improving our forest, improving the chance of fires. A lot of these forests that are unattended is a fire hazard because there's a lot of dead wood, a lot of stuff laying around. very interesting, and I'm looking forward to the project.
Thank you. Councillor Longmire? Sorry. Councillor Longmire?
Sure, thank you. I couldn't agree with Councillor Connell more. I think it's exciting. I would like to see us lead by example. I would be interested in knowing how, when this came about, how did we, or have we chosen one group only to look at this, or were there other groups who might have been interested in this as well?
My recollection is it did come before council, and we did recommend that we receive this report from these people. And if I remember correctly, they indicated they would do it without charge.
You volunteered.
Yeah, so I thought, that's how it came about. And now, as I understand the process, it'll go back to staff. Staff will determine whether there needs to be staff oversight. They'll determine whether we need an RFP. They'll do what staff does, and they'll report to us, and so we can move along with the project. That's my
Great.
understanding of where we are.
All right, thank you.
Councillor Morrison?
Thank you. And if we in our wisdom decide to refer this to staff, and I hope we will, one of the foundational parts I would like to see is, notwithstanding the good work that will be done, apparently, by implementation of some of these recommendations, I would like to see whether the return is worth the effort. If it's to be a showcase, that's a significant factor. But I would like some foundational basic beginning to this. I would also like to bring to the attention of and to remind all who are watching us today or who may hear of our deliberations that the body that decides what is going to take place in Annapolis County is the County Council. We will seek advice. We will ask for help. We will want assistance, and all of those rightly so. But it is council that will make the decision. Thank you.
Councillor Redden?
I have a question around our motion in February to request this report. And when I was reading the overview of this report on page 1, which is 1935 in our package, I was fairly surprised to see in paragraph 3 that their report is based on management plan recommendations and operational field assessments undertaken in January 2022. And so I'm curious how this organization had foreknowledge of what council was going to decide, and that we're going to request this plan.
I can't respond to your question, Councillor Redden. I see the Deputy Warden has his hand up, and I'll
Thank
refer
you.
to him.
Since the Forestry Committee was established, how many years ago was that? Probably 4 or 5 years ago. We had a forestry, what did they call it?
Symposium?
Yeah, sure. We had a bunch of people come in all around from the province. We invited the council and the forestry, and they presented to us. The Western Woodlot Forest Cooperative had been in business for years and were trying to get going for years. And they were there, the Western Forest Board. At the time, they were the only group that did these kind of services in Western Nova Scotia. Since then, there has been one up towards Cape Breton, then there may have been another group started. But the Western Woodlot Forest Cooperative has been here with Annapolis County, and behind Annapolis County with this endeavor for the last quite a few years, and have presented to council and the forestry committee throughout all of this. We actually joined the Western Woodlot Forests Cooperative, the County of Annapolis Royal. We are members of that group. We are also members of the Medway Forest Cooperative. And we are also members of the Mersey Tobiatic Research Institute. We're members of all this. So that is one of the reasons I would suspect why the Western Woodlot Forest Operators or Forest Cooperative is kind of stuck with us, and we have kind of stuck with them because they have presented with us. They do good work in the west coast or the western end of Nova Scotia. They also are recognized throughout western Nova Scotia as doing good work. The man that they have lined up, who is an operator called Harold Alexander, is considered one of the best foresters that we have in around. He's been in this business for years. Very sympathetic to a piece of property that trees are left and that only the mature leaves. These guys know their business. That is why they have been sort of there with us right along. Because we don't know anybody else in Southwest Nova that could do as good a job at this as what they would do. Does that answer your question?
No, not really.
Okay, then what was your
I'm
question?
wondering.
Let's just, rather than you guys talking back and forth,
Through you were.
the idea is, okay. So, thank you for that. Is there someone else? I'll come back to you, Councillor Redden. I think Councillor LeBlanc, you had your hand up.
Yes, I did. As Deputy Warden Gunn has gone through his explanation, they've always been there, it is true. And I think they knew, they've known the land for a while. My question is, and that might be some of the parts of the answer of January 22nd, they might have just kind of went through. However, my question is, it appears, but it's not in here, that they are ready to start anytime soon. The minute we say, we put a rubber stamp on it, that they're ready to start. Am I correct on that? Do we have any information on that?
I don't.
Because from the last contact that we received, it appeared that they were ready to go and do it for basically nothing. And this is the suggestion of what's going to happen and what's going to be there and a road that's needed. So I'm very pleased with the report. I like the specifics on it, and I think it's a great plan forward and an educational piece for everyone, us included, and our county and maybe more other counties as well. Thank you.
I'll go to Councillor Redden.
Yeah, so my concern is what has been, if it kind of appears, it sounds like it's been telescoped to these people that this is going to happen, that they've lined up a forester, that they were there in January before we made these decisions, and it's concerning, that's all.
Okay.
I'd like to know what has happened.
If I could, I'm hopeful that there'll be a motion to refer this to staff coming out of this meeting today, and that it'll all go to staff, and staff will decide the right way to deal with the issues that you've raised about who's going to do what, and whether there needs to be an RFP, whether staff are going to be involved, all those types of things is hopefully going to come up in the wash as we move forward. That's all I can say in response to that. I see that the deputy warden has his hand up, and unless there's somebody else, I think it's Councillor. I think I did see the deputy warden before you, Councillor Thomas. So I'll go to the deputy warden.
And to answer, I understand Councillor Redden's question. In January, yes. Our land is free public land. People can go on it just about any time. right? Unless we've got it fenced off, that's open land. You can go on the Perrott, go in from Perrott to it. You can go in from the Graywood site to it. Years ago, a forester by the name of Tom Berry did a full flow report on the Graywood site. And he presented that to a former council. That never got back to them, and I'm not sure, I don't know the ins and outs, but whether he was asked to do this or what, but nonetheless, he did it. He made the presentation to council. He never heard from council. So he actually never even, he got paid for his work that he did, the proposal. The Western Woodlot Forest Cooperative paid him for his information and his time he put into that. So when it came to January, and we had talked about this last fall, and we've been in conversation with the Western Forest Cooperative, the Forestry Committee suggested that I would be the contact person, being chair of the Forestry Committee. I would be contacted from the converse back and forth. They did get a hold of me to tell me that, who is the young lad that prepared the report, was going to go look on that property again just to see if things were as they were from Tom Berry's report. And then they made up their own new report as well from that. And yes, things are, but that's free public land. You can go on it. You can yourself or I can, right? And so that's basically on that assumption. They went and looked at the land to see what kind of shape it was in and to see how possibly it could be done. They were doing it for free.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Khan?
Yes, and I myself hope that it goes through, this motion goes through to go to staff, because several places in Annapolis County, and I'm sure across the province, there is funding to build fire roads and logging roads and stuff like that through different organizations. So if hopefully when it goes to staff, maybe they'll look into it, or whoever we appoint and decide who's going to take care of that piece of property and do this project, they will look into some of the funding there to build roads. So maybe it won't cost us as much as what it appears to projection of the report. So thank you.
Before we continue the discussion, perhaps we could put a motion on the floor to refer this to staff or report, and then we can continue the discussion. Councilor Longmire moves, seconded by Councilor LeBlanc. Okay, Councilor Longmire, I saw your hand, and then Councilor LeBlanc.
Yeah, I feel that this is built on a lot of history, but I do also feel a little bit perhaps disconnected from as much of the information that we might need to make, a better, or have a better discussion. I understand that the deputy warden is part of this group and has a lot more information, of course, because of his attendance to the meetings and whatnot. Whether this ends up going into becoming a new RFP and hearing from others, I wasn't part of council where I would have heard from the group who's been cited as perhaps going to go forward with this process. So I think that's really important for new council, is to hear that report. As Deputy Warden has just said, the gentleman who collected this old information has created this new document or whatnot. I'm not fluid on all of the information. So the report's good, but again, there's a lot of details in it that I can't necessarily follow. Thanks.
Councilor LeBlanc?
I'm good. Question.
Did you make a motion?
Can I'd just like to make my own comment very briefly. I think this is a great idea. I have about 150 acres of woodland myself. Most of it's on the side of the North Mountain. Picking up on what Councillor Morrison said, what I'm looking forward to on this project, assuming it goes ahead, is a financial report as to, whether the sustainable harvesting can be done on a profitable basis. And so I hope somebody from staff or somebody will be keeping track of the money as the project proceeds, so that we can have a report to help people like me. So, were you calling for the question? Did I hear somebody call for the question? Yeah, Councillor LeBlanc. I don't have anybody else on my list, so I'll have a vote on whether the question should be called. All those who would like to, I don't see anybody else speaking anyway, so I think maybe we just go right to the vote on the motion, because I don't see any other hands up and I had it. So the motion is to refer the item 7.1 to staff for a recommendation. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. Next item is 7.2, to set the date for the budget meetings, and staff is suggesting April the 26th and April the 28th. Sure. Does anybody have any difficulty with that? So, I'll give everybody a minute to check. Councillor Hudson?
Are we a location?
That'll depend on, later on in the agenda, how we deal with the video conferencing issue. Yes, Councillor Morrison.
Are we looking for a whole day or part of the day?
Is there somebody from staff that can answer?
The CAO has stated that he doesn't want it to be more than 2 or 3 hours at a time. That's why he's suggesting 2 different dates.
Personally, I'm good for the morning of the 26th and all day of the 27th.
Or 28.
Oh,
It's a 28.
so
I'm 28.
26th and 28th, okay. I'm good on the 28th and on the morning of the 26th.
Well, if we hold to the 2 or 3 hours, then that'll work. Councillor Morrison, for the 26th. Councillor Bradley.
I'm good. The morning of the 26th works good. And the afternoon of the 28th, if that's doable, but I can rearrange it if no one else can do the afternoon. I'm good. The morning of the 26th seems extra good.
Unfortunately, we're going to probably have to go by, the majority here rather than trying, if we start moving off those dates, the 26th and 28th, we'll probably get into more trouble than we've got at the moment.
Yeah, the 26th and 28th.
Councillor Longmire, do you want to say something?
Yes, I'm away on the 28th, but hopeful that the video conferencing will pass through so that I can be present.
Good. Okay, so what time do we want to start? 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock. I guess it's up to us, eh?
Yeah.
There's no...
9?
9.
Where's it going to be?
We're going to get to that, because we're going to talk about upcoming meetings, including the budget meetings, when we get to item 8.8.
Why don't we do 9:30?
I like 9:30 myself.
9:30, so.
Do I have a consensus around the room that you like 9:30?
Yes,
Budget meetings?
9:30, 26 and
9:30
28.
on the 26th and the 28th. Okay, Councilor Hudson,
Yes, are we going to get a package part of these meetings?
I would assume so. But I don't know. Can anybody answer
Well,
that?
staff are diligently working on putting the final touches on it, so I haven't gotten the final time when it would be provided to council, but I'm sure it will be as soon as possible.
No, I think it's very important that we receive the information ahead of time to review it. part of the meeting.
Councilor Brightfield?
So this is the 19th, and we're talking the 26th, 28th. That doesn't leave a lot of time to get us a package so that we would have time to review it at all. It's, you know, when you hear the staff is working on it, I don't want to receive it the morning of or the night before, you know, like Councilor Hutt says, we really need some time to look it over before we come sit down and meet. So if that's the case and we can't be assured that we're going to get that tomorrow, I don't know, but like maybe the days of the 26th and 28th are premature.
Yes, Madam.
I can assure council that probably as soon as the CAO is back on this land in this province, I know that he was about 98% finished before he left, and I'm certain he wants you to have it for as long as you can to be able to review it. It won't be coming the night before or the day before. Staff understands you need to have it as far ahead in advance as possible.
I'd just like to remind exactly what Councillor Morrison just said in the last statement is that it's council's budget. And if we don't get it until those days and we have to discuss the budget and some don't feel comfortable, we don't pass it until we feel comfortable. It's council's decision. So I'm not afraid if staff can't get it to us till then, we have these meetings to discuss it. If we got to appoint another meeting to pass it because we want to set back and look at it again. 6 people around this table's got to make it pass. Council's decision. If we don't feel comfortable, we don't pass it.
Okay, I think where we've arrived at is we're going to proceed with the 26th and the 28th. Staff's going to do their best to get us the information as soon as possible. And I agree completely with Councillor Connell that it'll be up to council to decide exactly when it's in a condition to be passed.
Yes.
What's the date? What's the time on the 28th?
They're both at 9:30. And we'll discuss later in the meeting how we're going to be doing it with in-person or video conferencing or where and all that kind of stuff. Next item on the agenda is the FCM attendance. We have a policy that the warden and up to 3 people can go. I can say that I have a personal obligation that weekend and I won't be going. So I believe that leaves 3 possible councillors who wish to go. The policy indicates that if there's more than 3 that want to go, then the clerk has some ballots here with her. We're ready to draw lots. However, if there's 3 or less, then we don't need to do that. So actually, yeah, the warden or his designate, is that the point that we're going to bring up?
No, I won't be going, sir.
You're not going to go?
No. But there was something about this, that if you had gone before the last time, that...
I think if I can interrupt you, the clock starts ticking again after every 4 years, as I understand it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And nobody went last year
Yeah.
because of COVID. I don't think they had a meeting. So I think that issue, I don't think is going to affect the current determination as to who goes.
Is it 1 year or 2 years? I thought I read that it was 2 years.
Is what?
If someone had attended in the past 2 years, they weren't eligible.
I think it's 2 years.
You all had a paper policy in your mailbox.
I have it here, but I think I'm right that the clock starts ticking after each
It
election.
does, yes.
So that having been said, we're going to do this now. If you would like to go to the FCM annual meeting in Regina in the first weekend in June, raise your hand.
I threw my hand in.
You'd like to go?
I'd be very interested.
Okay, 1. Are there any other hands up? Well, Councillor Longmire, we'll look for a full report.
I'm going to try to make it work in my calendar.
Thank you for volunteering. Okay, let me see.
Warden, if someone decides later that they would like to attend, they're free to put their name on it.
Yeah?
Okay.
I think so, yeah. Unless we get over the 3. Okay, next, committee and organizational reports. 8.1, there's a motion. Deputy Warden, would you like to move that?
Yes, sir. Special Committee of the Whole, March 29, 2022, Municipal Administration Building Renovations. That Municipal Council approved an expenditure of $530,000, including HST, to be funded through a temporary borrowing resolution from the Municipal Finance Corporation, MFC, to renovate the Annapolis Royal Municipal Administration Building to accommodate the consolidation of municipal staff to one administration building in accordance with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
A seconder for that, Councillor Morrison seconds. Discussion. Councillor Hudson.
Yes, that $530,000 amount, does that include a contingency?
Can anyone answer that? I think that was raised at the last meeting.
Yes.
Yeah,
I believe it was answered in the
we were told that it did include that.
Ms. Young, I see your hand up. Would you like to respond?
Yes, it does include a contingency.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Councilor Redmond.
Did we approve this before, but from reserves, and that's what we're changing?
It was at the Committee of the Whole that we
Oh, okay.
approved it, or recommended it, I should say. It's coming before council now. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call, did you want to say
Just want to
something?
say, my only comment would be that the CAO did say that we would try to have a sort of a sub-office in Middleton. I think we had office space provided, so the people in the East End, if they needed to make quick contact, now that Lawrencetown will be closing eventually. So with that caveat, I'm hoping to support this.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands up, so I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. Next is item 8.2, Council Video Conference Policy.
Yes, sir. Committee of the Whole, from Committee of the Whole, April 12, 22. AM-1.2.0.1, Council Video Conferencing Policy, U. That municipal council approved AM-1.2.0.1, Council Video Conferencing Policy as amended with 7-day notice at 2022-04-12, Committee of the Whole.
Is there a seconder for that? Councilor Sheridan seconds. There's a copy of the video conferencing policy attached in the package. Is there any discussion in that regard?
I do.
Councilor LeBlanc?
Thank you. On page 35, the last page, the technological problems there. 7.1. If you have a problem that prevents a council member from participating in a meeting prior to the meeting commencing, the council member shall be marked absent from the meeting. What happens if an hour later the councillor can attend? Is he still marked? They marked absent?
Madam Clerk?
As with all meetings, the roll is called, and that's where if you're there for the roll call, and you're marked present, then you're deemed as present. If you fall off later, just as if you had to leave now, you would still have been marked present.
I think her question was that if you're absent at the roll call and then you come back on later, are you then?
If you are present at the meeting at all, it's noted in the roll call. So if the meeting starts at 9 and you can't get on till 10:30, you're shown present at 10:30.
Okay, so technically, you would be present.
That's the way I take it.
Okay. But the way it says there is, there's no leeway. It's clear, you're not present.
If you can't get on, if you're only attending by video conferencing and something happens that you can't get on, you will not be marked as present. If something comes up, just as if, I don't know, you had a car accident in the parking lot and didn't get in here to the meeting, it would, even though your intent was, you still have to have been there somehow to be marked present.
I understand the statement, and I see what you're saying. However,
so do I take it that you're suggesting that if a person was able to connect during the meeting, they should be listed as present?
they will be marked in as present, I understand that part too. But if you have a technological problem, and you're ready to go, but technology says you're not, how is it deemed to be? I have a problem with that statement, that's all.
I tell you what, why don't I see another hand up. I'm going to come back to you, Councilor LeBlanc, and ask you if there is an amendment you'd like to make, and I'll give you a minute to think about it. How's that? Okay. Councilor Longmire?
Thanks. So where I live, they've just run 439 feet of fiber just to get me to a point at which I could be hooked up for internet. I don't have supportive internet for opening up my computer at home and using it for meetings. Therefore, I have to leave my home in order to go to another space where I can access. And that brings me back to video conferencing. Maybe we should have a 1-800 number that we can call in to connect so that we can be in attendance and then, make our way into the meeting at some point. Weather is always one of those challenging things that we don't know from one end to the other in our county. I might not be able to get off the mountain to get to a site to access internet. So it really does. Councillor LeBlanc is right. Video conferencing is one way we can make, give us options, but other meetings will provide an 800 number in the event that you're not able to be on through video, right?
Sorry for my ignorance. What's an 800 number?
Well,
Toll-free dial.
Toll-free dial-in.
So there's always phone numbers included in the Zoom links.
Yes.
Always.
Yes. But it would be important to include it, perhaps maybe in this policy, as an amendment, I don't know. I just want to make sure that that's still an option, right?
But it's provided with the
Okay.
Zoom link. Always.
Okay.
Yeah, it's part of the Zoom platform.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Has options for dialing in.
Good to know.
Well, my concern is that I believe in the wording of it the way it is, because if I'm sitting by the pool in Florida, and I just don't want to deal with the meeting today, I just phone up and say, sorry, I can't get on my computer, I'm in Florida, and I'm being excused. So we're making excuses. This is not just for video conferencing in our area. This is a video conferencing policy to cover us wherever we are. So phone number always given, then go to that phone number that's on the Zoom link. Because that's what we're trying to make the video conference policy be fair to counselors that can't make meetings, no matter where they are. So I kind of like to work the way it is myself.
Anyone else? Councilor Barton?
I guess my concern would be is if you're making an effort and for some reason your laptop fries or your internet connection goes, not your own fault, but you want to be at that meeting, should be that cut and dry to say, you know, if you can't be there for roll call, you're not in, even though you're trying through IT to make your best efforts to get logged in. I'm not sure if we shouldn't reword that slightly. I can understand the concerns. Whatever, you know, it's not always an ideal situation. And also I understand the thoughts that, you know, this can be abused. But I would like to think that we're adult enough that we're not going to do that, that we're laying on a beach somewhere and we just can't get out of our own ways to go plug our laptop in. There should be ways of figuring that out. But if you've made, or you're making your effort to log in, and some reason the technology fails you, should you be penalized for that? Whereas this policy is allowing for electronic participation in these meetings. So I think there's a little bit of a gray area there, or maybe the wording on that could be slightly different, you know, because if you're trying to get in and technology's not allowing it, it's one thing. If you're trying to abuse it, that's another. But how do you monitor that? Are we overthinking this a little bit? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, just hold on. I did see, I'm trying to write down, I see a number of hands, and I have to kind of, according to policy going to be, it's the order in which I see them. I see your hand. Now, I think at this point, I'm going to turn to the staff to respond to the last speaker, and then I've got Proud and Redwood after that. Go ahead.
I believe that perhaps this is a little misinterpretation and overthinking. I believe that this section is just intended to say whoever is attending is going to be shown as attending in the minutes, and not to reflect that someone's attending if unfortunately they have technological difficulties that they can't, because you wouldn't want to be shown as participating in a meeting when in fact you're not participating in the meeting. This section is not about penalizing or how absences are recorded, other than to say the minutes are going to reflect who's actually participating in the meeting, period.
And if someone, if I can, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Anytime you're able to join the meeting, it's reflected in the roll call, the time, not necessarily because you were at roll call. You will also have noticed through minutes if someone was able to attend. Usually the minute keeper will say, so-and-so attended at this time. So-and-so had to leave the meeting at this time. So you're captured if you're there. And if there's technical difficulties, David Hopkins is usually messaging me saying, I'm working with Councillor so-and-so, they're having issues getting on, so that I can say to the warden just exactly that. So we're usually pretty aware, and we're trying to see that that all gets resolved. But if whatever time you were at the meeting, it shows that you were present. If the technological difficulty continues to happen, unfortunately, there are things over which we have no control. So I don't know how different it could be stated you're at the meeting, whatever time you're there.
Councilor Proud?
Thank you, and further to a comment that the clerk made earlier, the call-in number for Zoom for our area has never changed. I have it written on my day, my planning thing on my desk in the study, so that, and IT will confirm that I have in the past had trouble getting in, but the number's the same, so you can just dial the number and it'll show on the screen so-and-so is calling in, or it has in the past. And if you have that number written somewhere that you can really access, it's not a difficult thing to, why David is trying, or whomever is trying to bring you in, you can do it by phone, and the number never changes. That's all.
Councilor Wright?
So if I've understood the good information our staff has provided us and everything, it seems that our ability to connect does not affect how attendance is recorded in any way. And in which case, we probably don't need section 7 at all, as it is just stating what has already been stated in other areas. And by stating it in more than one place, you're adding the possibility of confusion.
Councilor Bartow?
Yeah, just a quick question. The phone number that we're referring to, that's all well, good and great. My question is simple, is it always the same phone number, or is it vary depending on the email invitation that we receive with the link, with that specific link to that specific meeting? Because if for some reason my laptop screwed up, I can't get to my email to find that phone number. So that's why I was asking, is it the same number so that I can enter it in my iPhone so that I would have that link?
Councilor Proud is nodding, and I see Councilor Longmire nodding.
It is the same number? Yeah.
I don't receive them, so I don't
It
know.
is, it's the same number.
It has been changed.
Yeah.
Because I've never had to use it, so I just, question popped in my head, so.
I don't see any other hands up. So I will call for a vote on the motion on the floor. Oh, sorry, I was going to come back to you, wasn't I? I'm sorry, I forgot.
the evil eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Just-
yes. Oh, that's what you have to do.
Can I just follow through on that?
I'll come back to you. I'm with Councilor LeBlanc.
Well, no, I'll just let him go and then I'll finish the
All
conversation.
right, Councilor Bartow.
Phone number's fine, but when you phone in, don't you have to reference that meeting? It's ID when you phone in. So the phone number's no good to you if you don't have that meeting ID.
I don't know. Dave,
IT knows.
Mr. Hopkins.
If you call IT, we'll help you with that.
Call IT, okay.
Dave will fix the problem. There you go.
Councilor LeBlanc.
Fix it all.
All right. So, having heard all of this, and I do commend Madame Clerk, she has the times down perfectly all the time. I just wondered if when it's presented on notes and minutes, it does say absent at the top, and you would have to scroll down to see when people are there.
No.
And do you have a time now?
Go ahead.
Aaron was in there, sorry. Excuse me, I just have to take your name off. In the roll call, if you are not there when roll is called and you arrive at 11:30, your name will be in the roll call, and instead of saying absent, it will say 11:30.
That's right, that's what
Yes.
I was getting to.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So, having said all of that, it doesn't need to be indicated that we had technological problems. I look at section 6.3, or 6.3, on 34 and 34. And as I read this, it encompasses in with other parts in there, everything that's in section 7. So was there a specific reason for doing section 7. Could it be stricken from there, or is there a specific reason?
Is there someone on staff that can respond to Councilor LeBlanc's question about the inclusion of section 7?
I had to read it again.
Did it come off a template perhaps, or
Well, maybe,
I don't know.
It did come off.
it came off a
It
template?
came off a template, I'm told.
Okay. So it could go. And it could stay.
I can respond to that.
Ms. Campbell?
I think they are drawing distinction here, and that there are times infrequently that for whatever reason a counselor doesn't participate, that have nothing to do with technology. They are infrequent, but for example, a counselor might declare an interest, or a counselor might be asked to withdraw for reasons of interest or whatever. So I think there is, although it may seem subtle, there is a permitted to participate in section 6.3 as opposed to unable to participate because they're working through technological difficulties. They can be two different circumstances. I would still say that perhaps 6.3 would cover if you're having technical difficulties, but it does use the word permitted to participate. There's also the issue that you dealt with extensively when you reviewed this policy, which was in regards to permitting written notice to the clerk and all the other procedures that you fine-tuned when you went through this policy.
That's another issue. That's written compared to or the phone call as well. I'll go with any which way council decides. I just brought it up because it seems to be kind of cut and dry. Knowing Carolyn, Madam Clerk has all her ducks in order and their drawings, I'm quite confident.
I don't see any other hands up. I don't have any other names on my list, so I'm going to call for a vote on the motion as on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Next is 8.3.
Mandatory municipal boundary review. Options for 9 and 7 districts and mayoralty system. That municipal council directs staff to prepare mapping to show a 9-district option and a 7-district option for review by committee of the whole and the issue of a mayoralty system prior to presenting these 2 options to the public for comment in accordance with recommendation of the committee of the whole.
Is there a seconder for that? Councilor Sheridan seconds. Discussion, Councilor Bartow.
Just one quick question. On previous discussions on that, it said that to present the current 11 and options of 7 and 9. I don't see in here where it says anything about the options. It seems to be indicating that council wants to change, but before it was like 11, 9, or 7. At what point did that get deleted out of that?
I think there was a motion that instructed staff to just go back at 7 and 9.
To explore those options for district boundaries.
So, yeah, so the 11 was decided earlier that it wasn't going to be at least coming forward with the mapping for 11. Am I right?
Well, it would stay the same, so this is only indicating for the alternate mapping for those alternates. It's not saying that we're discounting the 11 at this point. You know,
I
so
guess
when
we
it
could
goes
do it that way, sure.
when it goes to the public,
Yeah.
they'll have
I guess we-
all the options?
No.
Well, I'm just thinking out loud, but we may not need a redistricting if we have 11, right? Because we've got 11 now.
Or are we taking 11 off the table? The perception is on this.
I thought we were, but there was a past motion of council, and maybe it was only directed to the mapping rather than to the options.
It was.
Is that right? I don't have a perfect memory on that, so, I don't
Council
know
will
if I
have to
can
make
say
that decision, which the council has not done yet, so is what not my point.
Yeah, and Councilor Bartow, I'm afraid I'm not able to concretely respond to that, but I do think the clerk wanted to say something. Is that right, Madam Clerk?
The way the discussion went was for, staff can't move ahead on fine-tuning any option until there's direction from council. So the recommendation that came before you was for you to consider for presentation to the public a 9-district option and a 7-district option. The month before, you had received an overall, just a report. This was a recommendation from staff. What would happen is you would, and it may change with the discussion on a mayoralty system, you would present right at this time 9 and 7 to the public. You would hear their feedback, and if their feedback was, we would prefer that you stayed with 11, even though 11 isn't being presented. If you want, so the status quo would be 11. You are presenting this change. You would hear all the feedback. If people wanted to stay with 11, that would be part of the feedback you would get. You then decide what you want to present to the UARB. If it's overwhelming for status quo, which still isn't exactly status quo because there would still be some changes with the new census information. Ultimately, it will be this council that decides.
I'll come back to you, Councilor Bartow, and let me just, Councilor LeBlanc.
So, from my understanding of that, it means that if we present the 11, which they were thinking about the 11, the lines do not change. Is that what I'm saying? Until the new, because we have extra numbers.
Yes.
If you want to present an 11-district option, there are changes that have to be made for status quo because of the recent census information.
Exactly. So to present it, we realistically need to amend the motion to include District 11 so that it can be brought to staff, or to bring the staff person, Cheryl, to do the new boundary line for the 11 district. I think that's what you're saying. So, yeah.
So if this motion is approved as presented, you will then get information on 9 and 7 and a mayor system. Then you may need to decide if 9 and 7 is where you want to stay. If you decide you want to go to a mayor system, I spoke to the UARB several times last Thursday. I was in error. The change of governance is not a UARB matter. It is a matter for public consultation. So you would still need to consult the public if you wanted to switch to a mayoral style of governance rather than a warden style of governance. You may need to do that before you decide how many districts you want. Because it all depends if you want an odd number, an even number. So I will have to do a lot of research to get that information for you so that you have that information to make an informed decision in order to move forward. What could also happen is if you get the information and you decide that you want to go to the public to get their feedback on a mayoral system, you can petition the UARB. You are bound, you are required by law to do a boundary review this year. You could submit status quo and ask for an extension because you're considering a change of governance. So that would give you more time to be able to do 2 rounds of public consultation.
Thank you for that.
So that, but that's, needs to come to you in a report, and that's what this motion will get.
Okay.
Councillor Bartow?
I think this needs an amendment, but I'd just like to talk briefly first. When we met before, we talked about status quo with the options of 9 or 7. This kind of dropped the status quo and it only puts 9 or 7. That's one issue. The other was adding the mayoral system in there, which, by listening to the feedback, it sounds like this should not be wrapped up into one motion anyway. We should hold off on the district motion until we throw, if that's what we want to do, to go mayor or warden, and get that resolved first, because otherwise, all of a sudden, if that comes back to the one mayor and not the warden, the number of councils could change, so why go through and get the staff to go through the painful stuff to establishing boundaries for specific districts, when in fact, if we don't go with the board system and we change that, it could change the number of councilors. So I guess if we could defeat this motion and present 2 separate motions, and the one for the districts should be tabled until such time that we make a decision on whether it's ward or mayor, then we would be in a better position to move forward, instead of going ahead and back and spinning our wheels and making adjustments if things change. I feel strongly that we need to not get the cart ahead of the horse. So how would I change this? I guess it almost throws the whole motion out if I just say, well, let's amend this and just say, we'll put it out to the public, or whatever system, staff has to go through to find out whether we want to change from the warden system or not. And put the other table until such time we get that information back.
So are you making an amendment to the...
I'm not sure how to make that amendment without, it's so cloudy that it struggling with the way to maybe we come back to you, nobody else wants to make a motion.
I'll come back to you, Councillor Bartow. I see Councillor Connell's hand up. Councillor Connell?
And I'm having the same issues, is that we're asking staff to do something before we even know. I know very little about a mayor hereditary system. I know that talking to other councillors in areas that have it, they talk negative on it as much as they talk positive on it. So some around the table may already have their mind made up that it was. I'm represented by my district to make that decision. And unless we go out to the public and ask them, do you want to change the governance, then I'm going to have to make that decision for my constituents. But I want to know what the difference, how are we going to gain as a council? What's the difference when we have an warden than a mayor? We haven't had that. We haven't got that information. So, and I realize that we have to do a boundary review. And I'm also disappointed that status quo is not on it, because that's always, we have the ability to offer that same thing to the URB, status quo. We just have to explain why. We did it the last time we did the boundary. We stated status quo. We gave them the reasons why. It was that way.
If I can respond, I'm happy to have the status quo. I'm I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just thinking that, didn't we have a motion in the past that we wanted 7 and 9? That's all I'm thinking about.
We had motion in the past that we want staff to give us.
The map
Because-
for 7 and 9, but.
I didn't realize that the status quo was going to have to change boundaries
Yeah, yeah,
because
okay.
of the upkeep of his assistance.
I see, okay, fair enough.
It's always been that we've always allowed the status quo to stay.
But that would be 11, but I'm just told we'd have to have different mapping because of the census.
Yeah.
Is that
Slightly.
where we are? Okay. Well, I'm at council's leisure here. I'm going to come back to Bartow, and I see LeBlanc and then Sharon, so I think I'll go to Council LeBlanc.
Well, from what I've heard, we have to separate, it probably will have to be separated in two because we have to include the status quo, and then if we're doing the merit base, which is information that we should know about as well as the public. This is what I kind of looked at, that municipal council directs staff to prepare the information of a mayoralty system to present to the public for comment. So in accordance to the recommendation. That's the way I thought we could split that one off to get started, so we know what the residents are thinking, our constituents, and then maybe we need a second motion to
Well,
direct staff.
If any councilor wants to make an amendment, I'm here.
Or withdraw.
Or withdraw this whole motion and then start over, do we do that?
Well, there's a motion on the floor. I guess we can vote against it, but then
It can be withdrawn.
Or withdrawn.
tabled or withdrawn.
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 So it would have to be the
But-
mover and the seconder.
Well, just help me, if we withdraw this, where does that leave us?
If you withdraw,
Just a second, go ahead.
if you withdraw this motion that's on the table, you can then make a motion that's different than this. So if the motion is to prepare information on the mayor system for presentation to the public, then that's the motion. And then you can, after that, then you could do your, in the future. You could determine what mapping you wanted worked on for the boundary review.
Yeah, so we have to.
There is a timeline here, isn't there?
If your intent is to go to the public for consultation on a mayoralty system, you can then petition the UARB because that process is going to take time. You could decide to submit status quo to the UARB and ask for an extension on a boundary review because you were in the process of determining a change in your governance style.
So, thank you for that, Ken, I appreciate that. Councilor LeBlanc, I take it that if we ask the mover and seconder to withdraw the motion, then your intent would be to bring a motion on the floor to proceed with the mayoralty warden issue by itself. Is that where we are?
Yeah, because we have two different things completely in this
So
motion.
I hear Councilor LeBlanc, and before we, I'm going to let that evolve, but I think I do have Councilor Sheridan that I'd like to hear from, and then we'll determine whether the mover and seconder want to withdraw on the basis of what Councilor LeBlanc has said, but I did have Councilor Sheridan here.
I was going to suggest tabling the motion, but after hearing it, because I was on the same page. Like, we should move forward with either go to the public with the mayor and the warden system to present, and also ask for an extension. So it was all what I was thinking, what you're doing. Thank you.
And I did say I'd come back to Councilor Bartow.
I like what I'm hearing from Councilor LeBlanc, and I think that covers the concerns that we all are having related to this motion. And I would support that change if we either withdraw previous motion or defeat it, then that motion could be a new motion to cover in the direction that the council would go.
Yeah, I like the idea of withdrawing rather than defeating it, because then we might have to reconsider something at some point. Deputy Warden?
Thank you. Last week, our clerk mentioned this to us, that this was two separate issues, the mayoralty system and the two options, the District 9 district option and the 7 district option, but we combined them. So here we are at a second meeting, and now we're about to withdraw this motion to make, from what I understand, 2 motions now? This is going to turn into 2 motions?
If I understand Councilor LeBlanc, she'll move that we can go ahead with the mayoralty warden issue, and then when that's resolved, come back and determine how many districts we want after we get make a decision on that issue. I think that's what I understood.
Thank you. And I'm fine to withdraw.
Okay, then I think I do get a sense of consensus around the room. So I'm going to ask the mover and seconder if they're prepared to withdraw the motion. And Deputy Warden, who seconded it?
Councilor Sheridan.
Councilor Sheridan, to withdraw. So I'll take it that the motion has been withdrawn. Councilor LeBlanc?
Okay, I'll just present this and we'll go for changes or amendments if we have to. The municipal council directs staff to prepare the information and then cross out, go to, of a mayoralty system to present to council and public for comments in accordance with, well, I don't think I need the last part.
If I could just, Ms. Campbell had her hand up here before, and I'm not going to ask for a seconder right now, Councilor LeBlanc, because of the wording, but we're going to put this on the floor once we straighten out the wording. Did you want to say something?
I was going to suggest that you leave out the portion about the public.
Yeah.
Because what's going to confuse the issue is you might have the information come back and say, this isn't something that we want to take to the public at this time, this is something for future consideration. You would have that ability as a council to say, we don't want to do this at this time. And if you're saying that it has to go to the public, you're confining your choice to do that.
I agree.
And so perhaps the motion could be a cleaner process by just having it come back to council for a decision whether to take it to the public.
So just two councils.
I'm going to take a shot at this, Councilor LeBlanc.
Don't make it two.
That council directs staff to prepare a report with the pros and cons of moving to a mayoralty or warden system, to come back to council to decide if it should go to the public or something like that.
Just to come back. and
That's two council,
Yeah.
no deciding anything after.
Did I?
Yeah, and my computer's frozen, so I'm handwriting this.
Oh,
You marked absent from the meeting.
Do you want that to committee of the whole? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. In May?
So I'm going to ask the clerk to read what she has, and then I'm going to ask Councilor LeBlanc if she agrees.
To direct staff to prepare a report on the pros and cons of a mayoralty system of governance and to come back to committee of the whole in May, moving to a mayoralty system of governance.
Does that suffice, Councilor LeBlanc?
Okay.
That was a yes. Yeah. Is there a seconder for that motion? Councilor Hudson seconds. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you, council. 8.4.
8.4, 2022-23 sewer charges county. That municipal council approved 2022-23 county sewer charges of $578.81 per equivalent unit pursuant to recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Your seconder for that? Councilor Morrison. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Next.
8.5, 2022-23 sewer charges, Bridgetown. That municipal council approved the 2022-23 Bridgetown sewer rates as follows. Base rate, $12.82 per quarter. Consumption rate, $2.08 per M3 cubic meter, in accordance with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Is there a seconder for that? Councilor Sherry seconds. Discussion? Councilor Morrison.
Thank you. And I just recalled to myself the information we were given at a previous meeting, that the question of ensuring a common rate for all sewer services in the county will be considered in the near future.
Sewer and water systems have to be consolidated first.
No, because we don't have water and sewer in all the same places in town.
Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
8.6, vendor on municipal property, application Tom's Cool Bus. That municipal council authorized the clerk to issue a vendor on municipal property permit for the 2022-23 fiscal year for the Annapolis River Causeway Park to the permit applicant Tom Marshall for Tom's Cool Bus Canteen in accordance with S6 commercial activity on municipal property bylaw pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Is that a second? Councilor Bartel? Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Gordon, could you take a recess so I can restart my computer, please?
Sure. We'll call for a 5-minute recess. Welcome, everybody. This is the continuation of the council meeting. We're down to item 8.7 on the agenda.
Yes, sir. 8.7, Clarence Community Hall, application for substantial alteration. That municipal council approved the Clarence Community Hall, a municipally registered heritage property, application for substantial alteration to replace the present black asphalt shingles with black metal roof and repair the trim boards to match the existing trim boards on the Clarence Community Hall, in accordance with recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Seconded by Councilor LeBlanc. Discussion?
I said it last week, it's going to look stunning with that black roof.
Well, everybody comes to the market that they're going to have every Sunday, so.
Oh, that's awesome.
See it. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. The next item are the upcoming meetings. And we've just set next week, the 26th and the 28th, for the budget meeting. And I also want to draw to your attention that we have tabled, I believe, or adjourned the procedures of council issue. And I'm told as well that by Ms. Campbell that coming up shortly, we may, if not in June, is going to be a complete change and rewrite of our human relations policies. It's going to be 8 policies or so done away with the new large policy coming in. So that will entail a lot of debate. Our last committee of the whole meeting went till 5 o'clock without these items, and so I would like to put it to council whether we want to have another special committee of the whole meeting to deal with those 2 lengthy matters so that they can get our full attention rather than trying to squeeze them in on a busy schedule on a normal committee of the whole meeting. So there's those issues plus the budget matters coming up. We've now passed the video conferencing policy, and under our policy, council can give permission to any councillor who wishes to attend by video conference, up to 3 in a year, but then council can give permission. I did send a note around suggesting that in light of the current COVID pandemic that we still find ourselves in, that council may wish to provide permission to any councillor to attend by video conference if they want up until the July committee of the whole meeting without counting against one of the 3. If anybody would like to put that motion on the floor, Councillor Longmire moves, seconded by Councillor Sheridan. We can have a discussion about that.
Can you state it again, please?
That council gives permission to any councillor who wishes to attend any of the upcoming meetings until July committee of the whole by video conferencing, that it not count as one of the 3 in the policy. Discussion? Councillor Connor?
Well, I think this is a good option because right now, the way the COVID is running rampant, we probably got a bigger chance right now of getting COVID ourselves versus what we had a year ago. It's in our communities, it's in our families, it's in the daycares, it's in the hospital, it's in the schools. I mean, we're getting thrown at it. And I just think that if we had the opportunity to meet by Zoom until hopefully things smoothen out a little bit, it would be nice.
Thank you. Did I see your hand up, Councillor Pratt?
Yes, thank you. I agree. I think right now we're amongst the highest incidents per capita, perhaps in North America. We went from being the showcase, for a number of months, and now the table has turned. So I'd be in agreement with that policy.
If I could just speak to it, under the policy, if the warden is able to order that the whole meeting be done by video conferencing, and as I've said to all of you, if it turns out the majority of council indicate that they wish to attend by video conferencing, then to me that's an indication that it's an emergency, which would give me the ability under that section to have the whole meeting done in video conferencing. So we'll have to, I know some people feel that there's a real important advantage to meeting in person, but we'll let the majority of council end up making that call. Any other comments? Councilor Longmire?
I would just like to say thank you, Warden, for this. We need to be mindful of the situation, and we aren't in control, unfortunately. As the new variants are, making their way to us, we've heard that the masks don't prevent all, and so it does, again, create more concern. So I am just thrilled to see this today.
Thank you. Anybody else? Do you want to read the motion, Madam Clerk?
It was moved by Councillor Longmire, seconded by Councillor Sheridan, that municipal council give permission to any councillor to attend upcoming meetings until July Committee of the Whole, meetings by video conference. until July committee of the whole, and that it not count as one of the 3 meetings stated in the new policy.
Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Now, that having been said, the policy reads that councillors who wish to attend by video conferencing are supposed to give reasonable notice. We have a meeting coming up, I guess it's a week today. So I would urge all of you that want to attend by video conferencing to notify the clerk as soon as possible so that we can determine if the whole thing's going to be done by video conferencing or whether it's only going to be certain members that will be attending on video conferencing.
When would you like them to let me know by?
When would you like? Well, what's today? Tuesday? Would
Friday?
Sure, Friday. I was thinking of Thursday, really. If people could attempt to, I would suggest if you let the clerk know by Thursday, then she would let me know whether I have a decision to make. And then we get word out to everybody about what we're going to do on Tuesday. Councillor Hudson.
Yes, could we not make that decision here today?
Well, we could.
That's what I was going to
So what are you going to say? Does council wish to do that today?
Just
We are here.
All right, well then, I'm happy to do that. So, if you want to, if your wish is to have the upcoming, we'll talk about the meetings next week, the 26th and the 28th. If you wish to attend by video conferencing, would you raise your hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you wish to attend in person, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm missing.
Me, because I can go either way, so I'm the middle one.
Well,
In
make
any
your
event,
mind
there's
up.
six, there's 6. It's 6 to 5 that 6 people want to attend by video conferencing, so I don't think it makes any sense for 5 of us to be here and 6 of us on the screen. So we'll do it all by video conferencing. So that goes, I'll take that as notice with respect to the meetings next week on the 26th and the 28th. But as we go forward, you're going to have to give notice to the clerk. All right. Councillor Hudson, you want to say something?
yes, just in respect to meetings, I think we're long overdue with having an audit committee meeting. And I think that's a committee of the whole council. And should we be looking at setting a date for such a meeting?
I will say that I spoke to I'll just put it this way. My information is that the financial statements for the year ending March 31, 2021 are with the auditors. And once the auditors are busy, and once we get it back from the audited statement back from the auditors, we'll be then setting up the audit committee meeting. So since the last word I had, I just spoke this morning to the manager of finance, if that's the right title. That's what I was told. So that's still 2 weeks away. So I think we'll wait until we do get. By 2 weeks, I meant that the auditors are busy doing tax returns for people that have to be filed by April 30th. So my guess today is that we're not going to get the audited statements until early May at the best. I think that gives us time to set a date once we get better notice as to when we're going to have the audited statements. Anything else? Did we actually make it by lunchtime? That
We got one more thing. We're going to have to decide on the human resources special meeting for that.
Do you want to decide that, whether we want to have a special meeting?
We're all here.
That was your.
Yeah, you're right. I myself, for what it's worth, I'd like to give it the time it deserves. But what's the view of council on having a special meeting for those items?
Will this be by Zoom?
Yeah, it'll depend on which councillors. If the majority want to do it by video conferencing, then it will be. And if the majority don't, then it'll be only those who don't want to attend in person.
So what will be the items? HR?
The policies,
Yes.
the policies of procedure for council meetings and HR. Just those two things. Just those two. And I think it'll take all day. I think those two will take all day. So, do I have a view? I guess I'll just ask for a show of hands, because it's not really a motion, but a show of hands that those who would like to do this in a special meeting rather than trying to put it on a regular committee of the whole meeting. Special meeting, hands up. That's the view of council, then we'll set a special meeting for those two items.
Are you doing that
Special.
now?
Pardon me?
Are you doing that now? Setting a date?
We could.
No, I don't know if the human resources matter is in such a stage that we can fix a date. Is it?
If it's in May, I'll do whatever needs to be done with on.
Sure. Can you propose a date that would work then?
Where are those?
I don't have it.
Oh, here it is. Wait a minute.
If any councillors are going to NSFM, that's the 4th to the 6th.
Yeah.
Well,
May.
So I think I could be prepared to bring the policy anytime after the 16th.
There's a lot of those planned.
Pardon?
Would that work?
Yeah. Well, it would go to June
So,
council after that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But aren't all these other meetings
Got those planning meetings on hold.
planning meetings, I have those in my book, I can tell you when they are. But they were moving around, some of those dates were moving around.
17th.
Yes.
16th,
17th,
17th,
18th,
18th,
and
19th.
19th are all planning.
They're in a row.
And then the 25th and 26th.
You want to do it on
they're
24? You want to do 24?
May 24th?
Well, the people who are arranging these meetings are changing the dates because of the fact that we have a council meeting on the 17th, so we don't know the new dates yet.
What
Go to
was
the
it,
annual
community meetings for the
Nadine
plan?
can
No, no,
respond
yes,
to those
yeah.
meetings there.
Over there.
Right
Those
now,
are
we
keeping
have
changing.
Just a sec.
So right now, we have postponed the public engagement meetings for the consultant to the 24th, and they are day and nights.
I'm sorry, say that again?
The consultant's public meetings for Stantec, for public engagement, have been postponed. We originally had them on the 17th because we didn't think council was going to be happening that day, but now that we know it is, we have postponed them to the 24th, and it is day and night. So basically from the 16th straight through to, I believe it's the 26th, the end, those 2 weeks are day and night meetings for public
You're going
engagement.
to send out the new thing.
Yeah, we're gonna, Victoria and Brendan are just doing some updates, but those 2 weeks, aside from Fridays and weekends, are pretty much booked for public engagement meetings for the consultant.
31st.
So there we go.
I won't be here on the 31st, coming back from Ontario, but I could do Wednesday, the 1st of June. You know, or the 2nd of June, or the 3rd of June.
Keep going. Oh, dear.
Any of those days work in the first, because that way we could then refer whatever decision we make at the committee as a whole, we could then do that at the council meeting in June.
That week in June that you're talking about, Mr. Warden, is, what's the first?
So Wednesday.
Okay, so when does the FCM start?
That's in May.
FCM?
Oh, FCM. Oh, it's that.
And that's it.
Okay, Councillor Longmire's going to that, right?
So that's the what, the 4th, the 3rd, what is it?
I think it's the
Third, second,
weekend of
good.
the 4th and 5th, so it would be the 3rd probably, and then the 4th and 5th.
Right.
So we could do Wednesday the 1st, maybe. Yeah, Councillor Longmire says.
I can watch that.
Do we have a consensus that we'll look at Wednesday the 1st of June?
1st of June.
So that we could do the 7-day notice to bring it, approve these things in the June council meeting? Okay. And what time do we want to start? 9:30?
9:30.
9:30 Memory Resorts.
It's a late night drive, you know, from the airport. But that's okay. Okay,
It works for you or doesn't?
well, I get in at 8:20 on Tuesday night, and I'll drive. I'll be there.
Speak now before it's too late.
Yeah. If the Wednesday's better for everybody, I could do it. The Thursday's a little better for me, but
I can't do Thursday.
you can't do Thursday. I'll make it. Deputy Warden?
Thank you. So the budget meeting's on the 26th and the 28th of April, which are almost a week away. Those we're going to do by Zoom.
Yes,
We're going to do our budget meetings by Zoom this year.
yes, that's the will of council.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Councilor Bartel?
So all these other dates, are they in chambers?
Those will be determined according to the number of councilors who wish to attend by video conferencing. If the majority of council indicate with reasonable notice to the clerk that they wish to attend by video conferencing, then it will be done by Zoom. The councilors have a right to attend by video conferencing during this period of time, and it doesn't make any sense to maybe have 3 people here and everybody else on the screen. That seems logical to me.
So we have 5 or 6 on the screen, so we'll have to see them there if we're here. And that screen will be broken up into smaller bits and pieces.
I've spoken to Mr. Hawkins, and he said that, if we have 5 councilors attending by video conferencing, there'll be 5 on the screen. 5 or less, and they'll be on the screen.
And any public that wish to attend will be on.
And the public will be on the screen as well.
Oh, no, that'll be, sorry, that's after the new policy. Sorry, my bad.
So because
Go ahead.
because of all this refinements, are we going to make a blanket statement that regardless of what council is here, that any public will be joining us by Zoom?
If the meeting is in person, with some councilors attending by video conferencing, the public will be coming here, right?
With the new video conferencing policy, the video link will be put with the meeting notice on the website.
So are you saying that the public can attend by video
Yes.
conferencing?
Yeah.
Even though the meeting is being held in person here, with some councilors coming in by video conferencing?
Yes.
And is that only
So-
some?
That's an interesting thought. I didn't realize that.
I just, we have such a small confined public area that, would that work just to automatically give them Zoom access? To the public? It's all determined different.
Well, the public could see us, I don't know if we see the public.
Just like we see those people right there.
What if 10 people in the public?
Then there are 14 tiles on the screen.
So just for a clarification, let's assume we get to July, there's no more COVID, we're meeting in person. Can the public attend by video conferencing?
You have a video conferencing policy in place now, so I will be posting a video link with a meeting notice.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
I see. I think that's probably a good idea.
Mr. IT.
Oh, yes, Mr. Hopkins?
So Zoom will be available for the public as well as Facebook Live, which we have 16 people on right now.
Okay.
But we're not seeing Facebook Live people.
No, correct.
And I hear we're getting some interesting comments on our Facebook Live.
None that are showing up on my feed.
Good discussion with respect to these meetings. It is a change. I think, I think we've done a good job in straightening this out and to the benefit of people who are concerned about COVID and people who want public participation. I think it's a good compromise. Any other comments from anybody before we go? Councillor Hudson? Councillor Connell?
I have got some concerns about the public meetings we're setting up for the zoning. I personally feel that we're going to get criticized before we get out of the gate for having day meetings. A lot of people, if this area was 100% zoned and people were used to it and knew what zoning was and all that, it would be different. We're stepping into new territory where there's going to be some resistance on people being told what we're going to do, what they're going to do with their land. And I just personally feel that we're going to get criticized before we ever start for having day meetings, because the first thing they're going to say is that we can't get to them, and you guys have planned this. I honestly feel that we're going to get a -5, and I understand that the consultant may have to do some travel, but I don't have no dealings with the consultant. I deal with my constituents. And I was told that, oh well, if they can't make a day meeting in Margarettsville, they can drive to Morristown. Gas is high. Weather. People will not travel long distances for having a meeting. They'll be more apt to be frustrated and put their reviews across. And I was very, very disappointed when I saw that the consultant wants to jam all these meetings in 1 month. They've had months to set up these meetings. We could have had it decently across our county, night meetings to make sure that our constituents could have been there. I'm just very, very disappointed how I think that brought it there.
Councillor Hudson, did you want to say something?
No, I was just one very quick thing. Is there any report or information on the sale of the old elementary school?
Are we still on?
We are still in the meeting.
We're in the meeting. This is not, these things aren't on the agenda.
Okay.
I really don't want to open up to just everybody talking about whatever we do have an order of the day that we approved.
Okay.
But I'm sure you can speak to staff, Councillor Hudson, and find out if there's any news. I see hands up. There's nothing on the agenda. I'm happy to have people talk, but I'm afraid of losing track. Go ahead, Councillor Bartel.
Is it too late to change the order of the day to address the problem that Councillor Connell has brought up? Because I think he's not alone in his concerns, and I'm 100% behind him on those concerns, and I think it needs to have discussion. We need to regroup on that staff. We need to change the dates. Stan Teckwell, we need to change the dates. And I think it's an important enough issue that we can't just have it as rhetoric at the end of the meeting. We need to make it formalize it into the meeting and have a discussion on it and indicate to staff, council's concerns. We haven't had that opportunity to this point, and I think that we got bypassed on it. And I think that Councilor Connell makes good points, and that's the same points that I think would be straight across the county, not just in his district.
Okay, so the question, the good point you raised, Councilor Bartow, whether we're able to, we haven't adjourned yet, whether we can change the order of the day to put something on the agenda for discussion. And who's my lawyer here? Can we do that now?
Yes,
You can.
when you come out in cameras, for example.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so we are able to amend the order of the day by will of council at any time in the meeting, so that's, I guess, where we are. But I did see that Ms. Bartow wanted to say something in response to your comment, and maybe before you...
And I'm not overly familiar with the contract, so I have no idea of the allotted time we were given by the consultant to have these meetings. My understanding, it was 2 weeks. So that's 11 meetings. So unless we started having them weekends, Fridays, it was very difficult because staff has to attend all these meetings as well. So we tried to come up with a schedule that would accommodate people who do shift work, because there's people who work all day and have evenings off, or people who work all evening and have days off. So we tried to find the perfect balance of that.
I didn't really realize you were going here. Maybe I'll invite you to speak when we put a motion on the floor. So there's a, Councilor Bartow, do you want to make a motion to amend the order of the day?
Yes, I would move that we amend the order of the day to add discussions on countywide planning and procedure. I'd like to add some other comments, but I'll just
Okay,
wait.
so is there a seconder to the motion to discuss, I guess, the meetings? And Councilor Longmire seconds. So the motion's on the floor, and I'll invite Councilor Bartow to open the discussion.
Pass the motion.
Get a vote on
Call
this.
question on adding it.
Oh.
Where's your order?
Yeah, so there's a motion for discussion to add this to the order of the day. Anyone want to speak to that? I do want to say before we do that this issue was raised with staff, and that we all received a response from staff, from Mr. Dick a few days ago.
No, did not.
No.
I was told I did, but I did not. I
I
went
did.
back 2 weeks.
I did.
I did.
I never
You
received.
did? Yes.
I wrote this is all
Send Thursday.
trashed out.
I checked my computer.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make the point that it was raised and staff was aware of it, but that's the only point I'm going to make. So unless there's something else, I'll call for a vote on the motion. Yeah, all those in favor of changing the order of the day, just raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
Aye.
2 nays. So, Councilor Bartow, would you like to put a motion on the floor and to change the order of the day with respect to this?
That was what we
Yeah,
just
it's on
did.
there.
That's what,
We just voted on.
that's what happened.
Well, that was, I just had a vote to change the order of the day. Now, don't we have to have an actual motion?
There was a motion to amend the order of the day to add
Oh, I see.
countywide
That's
planning
included in the
meetings.
motion.
Yeah.
So discussion, Councilor Bartow.
Well, to start with, I've been greatly concerned of our consultants' lack of proceeding with this plan, and we could have been having these meetings back last fall. There's lots of time we could have went through all these meetings without jamming things up. They wait till now and then try to jam it through together 2 meetings a day in a tight time frame, which in my mind, it's like they're scrambling to catch up. Should we have to pay that price because they have them not doing, presenting this earlier on and having the meetings in an orderly basis, not jammed up, to accommodate the public? For those that head jobs, and they just, you know, they would have some good input, but they can't get off the jobs to come to a daytime meeting. I think there's a lot of issues related to this. I refer back to, without going over ground, what Councilor O'Connell already mentioned. I think that kind of covers a lot of the issues. I'm just concerned that, you know, what has been done and why haven't we had these meetings before? And just because now we're pushed this far into the process, months and months into the process, why do we have to have them all jammed together in a 2-week time frame? It's not fair. The council did not make that decision. We were not part of that decision process, and now it's being handed to us. It's not right.
So if I could just get a hold of the process, we've changed the order of the day to discuss these upcoming meetings, but is there a motion as to what we want to do? Do we want to ask them to redo it? Do we want to send it to staff? Is there a motion on the floor as to help me out? There isn't any.
There's no motion on the floor.
There's no motion on the floor.
You're in a free-for-all right now.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, Councilor Barto, do you want to put a motion on the floor?
How would I word that? To allow council to give proper feedback.
Well, you can, you know, I'll leave it to you, but you could refer it to staff for reconsideration, or you can do what you want. But I do think staff is there's going to have to be some
If I don't make
interaction.
it, there's other councilors that are feeling the same way. So if that's what it takes, just to get this on the table and then properly discuss it, you know, make a motion to return this to staff for due consideration on councilors' concerns on the process, and more particularly related to timing of meetings.
Is there a second to that? Councilor Collins seconds. Discussion? Councilor Sherry.
So just in regards to the consultants, they did specify in the beginning that they had to have two separate sessions. So if you missed the first session, there's going to be another session of 11 meetings toward the end of the planning. So if you don't get to one, you still have your say in the second one, from what I understand. We can check with staff, but I believe that was the way the plan set out. They had so many things to do in the beginning to get ready for this, to prepare. Then they have to have 11 meetings or 12 meetings, and then they go about their work, then they bring it back again. So I just wanted to make the council aware of that, and maybe staff can help me out here if I'm wrong, but that's my understanding.
Anyone else? Councilor Connell?
Yes, I understand what Wendy's saying, but that's the same thing we've been having at county council, is that we have motions or motions put forth to us, and then all of a sudden we're changing them because we've got more information or we've updated ourselves on the information, and that's the same as these meetings. So we have a round of meetings, and Santec goes back and starts at the drawing board, and all of a sudden the word gets out in the community, and the next meeting it's over-attended, and all of a sudden their views are very strongly on just opposite of what Santec's doing. We're putting the cart ahead of the horse again. I was told that, well, my Marksville meeting was scheduled for daytime, and I really am disappointed in that. That, oh, we'll just switch it over. Brad, you might have a day meeting, and I'm going to have the night meeting. And I was told that, oh, they can drive from Margarettsville to Morristown to the night meeting. Well, I'll tell you, like I said before, gas is high, people are tired when they get home. They'll go to the community meetings, but they're not going to travel all over this county. If we were 100% zoned, and people were used to zoning, is one thing. But we're going into our rural communities where we're going to have resistance from people saying, you're not telling me what I'm going to do on my property. We have that when we go on the East End reviews for the last 20 years we get that. But we're stepping into a brand new territory where people are not used to having anybody tell them they're going to do anything on their property. This isn't a town, a city. People, the company we've hired from Halifax, they've had zoning. This is all new. And if we don't pay attention to our constituents to make sure they get the right information, I was disappointed on the procedure of the meetings, because I was told, oh, they're just, no maps, no indication on what kind of zone is gonna go in. They're gonna have tables set up, they're gonna sit there and wait for the public to go to them and express their feelings. These people know nothing about zoning. We're not going to an educated bunch of people that know how zoning works and all that. We're going to people that's gonna have the fear, which is all over Facebook now, about what the county's doing to restrict them from having animals. So we have to go in and try to educate the people on what zoning does for people, how it works, what are the procedures to go to change zoning, because that is a big fear right now. Oh, my land's zoned agriculture, what, you mean I can't do nothing with it? You know, people do not understand zoning where they've never had zoning. And I just think we're not taking it serious enough. And I'm gonna fight for my constituents. I definitely want night meetings, and I definitely want some kind of education program put when they have those meetings. I don't want 4 statues sitting there waiting for the public to say, well, what are we here for? We've had water meetings in Margaret, and the people didn't even understand exactly how the water system worked. I mean, I was just disappointed when I saw the schedule and I heard how the meeting was going to be run. I'm very disappointed that they haven't got an educational program set up in place to explain to the people what zoning is, how it works, the benefits of zoning, and that. Like I said, if we were zoned in those areas before, the east end, 90% of the time, we don't have a lot of people come out because they've had zoning ever since I've been on council. They know how to deal with it, how it is, whatever. My concern is if we're going in an uneducated area of our citizens that know nothing about zoning or very little.
Thank you, Councillor Connell. Before I move to you, Deputy Warden, I just want to say that a lot of what Councillor Connell has just said, he got from me, because I was completely at sea as to what was going on in these meetings. As councillors know, neither the consultant nor staff has really told us what these are going to entail, so I called Ms. Hamilton, who I understand was in charge of it, and the information I got is what Councillor Connell has just said. So that's how the information came through. But I just wanted to clarify that before I move along, that that's where that information came from. And if I got something wrong, I apologize, but we haven't, sitting around the council, we haven't had any information from staff really with respect to what these meetings are going to entail. Thank you, Deputy Warden.
Thank you. From a couple of these courses I've taken, I do understand planning and zoning a little bit the process. I plan myself to go to all of these, every one of them. I don't want to miss any of them because I actually want to know what the people of Annapolis County think and how they want their county zoned. There's a lot of people that, don't understand it. And there's a lot of people that don't know these meetings are coming about. I tell, when I'm out south, when I'm in Bear River, don't forget that when they announce these meetings, be there. Go to them. Try to go to them all. I tell people that. I tell people that in Granville Ferry that I know. I said, when these meetings start about zoning in Annapolis County, you want your say, you have land, go to these meetings. Listen to them. I wasn't under the perception that they were going to sit there like statues. I would think that there'd be some sort of facilitator at the meeting that would be provided by Stantec or somebody who would let people know what's going on. And that's it. I can't imagine that they would just go and sit there like statues at all. somebody's going to facilitate the meeting. I just, otherwise you're gonna have pandemonium like we had in that meeting up in, where the devil was that? In back of Paradise there,
West Paradise, yeah.
right? Well, that was nuts. We don't want meetings like that. But we want people to know and to be involved. And, as it says in all the courses, to have their say. Meetings go along, if there's a line of people there, 24 people, and at 9 o'clock hits and they say, whoop, it's 9 o'clock, meeting's done. It's not done because those people haven't had their say. Everybody gets their say at a planning meeting. That's written in the rules.
Councilor Longmire, I'll come to you, but I just would like to respond again to, because a lot of these impressions that councilors have are coming from me. And so what happened is I saw the list, and nobody spoke to me about it. I didn't know what it was about. I understood that Ms. Hamilton was in charge of it, so I called her up because as the warden, I didn't know if I had to go to all the meetings and welcome everybody. I mean, I knew nothing. So I basically asked her questions about, well, is there somebody going to make a presentation from Stantec? And where's this? I said, who's chairing the, if I'm not chairing the meeting, who's chairing the meeting? These are all the questions I had. Nobody talked to me. And so what I told Councillor Connell and got through to the deputy warden is coming from my conversation with Ms. Hamilton, which, was just a conversation. We haven't seen anything in writing. We don't know exactly. My impression from talking to her was that there were, I asked her, that's my question, are there going to be maps on the wall so people can go and look, and that's my house? And she said, well, I don't think there will be maps on the wall. And so I said, how, is somebody at the front of the, I said, is there going to be people like in a church where, there's seating here and a head table? And she said, no, there's going to be 4 tables. Mr. Lamb and her would be each at one table, and the 2 Stantec people would be at 2 other tables. And the impression I got was that people would come forward and give their comments, and they would be recorded about their views on planning. So that's all I can tell you. Okay, and that, I could be wrong, because it's not anything in writing, it was just a conversation. So, and I will say, I'll digress from just reporting on the information. I do agree with Councillor Bartow's comments that there's been a little bit of a disconnect here in the communication with respect to what's going on in the planning process. So I'm going to go to Councillor Longmire.
Thank you. So it begins with the word zoning, and I would like to think that Stantec would send some comprehensive notice out that would explain, first and foremost, what they can expect, the citizens, when they come to these meetings. Setting, giving, 11 different dates and times and no preamble is an insult to the citizens. And, it's going to be, what do they want? What do they wish for? What are their goals? It's about the size of the land. It's about terminology like types of animals and numbers of animals equal to 1 unit. And it talks about, what's a boarding facility versus livestock operations, agricultural and household livestock versus urban chickens. Like, there is so much language that no one is even remotely prepared for because it is unknown territory. And it's like Councillor Connell said, if we were already a zoned people, then we've already had some noise in our head, we've already heard some language, and we're prepared to enter into some modifications. But we've got nothing. So it is starting at ground zero. So it's going to be really important at Stantec that they commit to it to provide us with something that can be shared with the public before they come to these public spaces. Or you're going to have anxiety, frustration, anger, because they're all going to think, number one, think you're taking everything away before you're going to give anything back. Thanks.
Councillor Reddy?
I've not spoken with the warden, so I'm very uninformed here. I say that very tongue-in-cheek. I have been sitting here since we've been given this notice of meetings, patiently waiting for some sort of documentation to come to me, so I just would know what I'm doing. Because to me, if you're coming to a meeting for public comment or public input, what am I making input on?
Yeah.
There should be something there. So I'm confused by that. There was a second piece of this I was going to get to. Waiting. Oh, I wish my brain worked.
I'll come back to you. I'd like to have the motion read again so we know where we're going. Yeah, I saw that. Where are we? What are we doing? Are we referring it to staff or what are we doing here?
To refer back, it was moved by Councillor Bardo, seconded by Councillor Connell, to refer back to staff to reconsider councillors' concerns on the process related to the timing of the meetings.
Okay, I like that. Councillor Morrison?
Thank you. And that very effectively limits any comments.
That's right.
Yes,
It is, yes.
We're in favor of referring it, or we're not in favor of referring it, and that's all the comments.
Ms. Bartow, did you want to say something?
Just to Councilor Mulmeyer's point, we do have a website, and our Stantec did provide a website which has a link to our website. It does have all this information about zoning and information that hopefully will help the public. In regards to the actual process that Stantec's going to use, I can't speak to that. I don't know, but Victoria and Brendan might be able to more so. I wish they could have been here today to answer some of your questions, but unfortunately they were unable to attend the council meeting. Again, when we based our meetings, it was us trying to find that perfect balance between people that work during the day and people that work at night, and we tried to make it geographically make sense. If someone couldn't make a meeting, they could make another one. We will be launching a listserv soon where people can sign up for a listserv and get information on the meetings that's going to be coming up, or information that they might need with direct contact to Victoria and Brendan. And I will be doing a PR piece soon, particularly to our secondary plans, where we're going to be reaching out to local media and our ABR news and things to help promote it to the public as well. I wish I could give you more details, but that's all I know at this point.
Saw some other hands up. I'll come back to you now, Councillor.
So, my second half of my
Yeah, the second half, yeah.
is the, it's a little more general than just planning. If we roll out something like meetings, other things need to be there hand in hand, so you're not just throwing things into a void for people to speculate on. Because that just is never going to work out well if you have this big gap of lack of explanation for speculation. And I'd forgotten about the web page that was mentioned there. That's a good point. And that's part of the thing of why you have it all at once is I can't remember everything. I try really hard, but I'm not very good at it. So that's the second half of my comment.
Councillor Long.
Our way of presenting to the public would be to explain. Stantec's ways of different scenarios. So I think we haven't been part of it from the beginning, and maybe, sending staff back to them to look at this problem should advise them that, the meetings are coming up soon, and we have to be able to give information as well as collect information in the proper form. So I think that before we have that piece, I'm not, I thought I had to go to all these meetings. Are you saying I'm not supposed to go to all these meetings? I presume that I should know about zoning.
My understanding, again, and I could be wrong because it's only a telephone conversation, is that all the meetings are going to be the same, and that there's going to be 4 tables, and people are going to come up and be able to talk to a person with their concerns about about zoning. And so the meetings are all going to be the same if you don't. But I could be wrong.
All meetings are never the same, no matter how you look at them.
I mean, conducted the same way as well.
Well, conducted which way now?
Well,
Yeah.
that's all I can say.
Okay.
I don't know anything else, anybody else?
Well, I didn't know any of that. So the...
Anybody else? Councillor Bartow, I'll go to Councillor Connell and Councillor Bartow. You close the discussion.
Needham nailed it right on the head. They can go on our website.
Mhm.
How glorious. How many people, we have a counselor right here right now who says she has to go somewhere else to use a computer. We haven't heard one thing about it on the radio. It's never been explained, because my biggest thing I get from constituents is why is the county wasting their money zoning our county? They don't even understand that we have a mandated thing from the province. So there's no explanation. People can't get to this computer system all across our county. But we're relying on the information to our constituents that we're doing our best job because you can go on our computer. Thank you.
Well,
It does not get to our constituents, which are going to get zoned.
I will confess, I didn't know that there was something on our website about this.
I didn't either.
I didn't, so, sorry. Councillor Bartow, to close the discussion?
I guess some of the things I was going to reiterate, I don't want to reiterate, it's been said. The process is flawed, as we fix it. People haven't been informed, and if it's only going through the motions to say, oh, we met the public. To have meetings and there's just a couple tables sitting there for people to come up and voice their concerns, they want to hear what this all means so that they can react to it. You know, how are they going to know what to bring to these people? At the meetings, at the tables, it doesn't sound to me like it's a meeting. It doesn't sound to me like it's organized. It sounds like it's just a gathering spot to receive comments. That's not a meeting. It's not how I'd like to see it presented to the public. The public deserves more than that. It's never been explained to me. This is the first I've heard that there's maybe just a few tables and somebody sitting there and you have to walk in and walk up to them and talk to them. And then what about the other people that are coming to this meeting? How are they going to get the advantage of and feedback from other person's concerns if they're just sitting down talking to somebody at a table? You know, it's got to be an open public meeting for the constituents to hear everything, to be explained what the process is, and to be able to react to concerns. You know, and any one of us sits at a meeting, we'll have our own concerns, but then we hear other people's and we'll say, oh gee, we never thought of that, that's true. We need that interaction in the process to make it a useful process, unless all we're doing is hiring a consultant just to run this through, we rubber stamp at the end, but that's not what we should be doing. We should, you know, maybe I shouldn't even put it that way, but it's just a feeling that kind of crawls under your skin a little bit.
Thank you. I'm going to call for a vote on the motion. The motion is essentially to refer this back to staff. It's been a good discussion with concerns expressed, and I think that's the way the motion reads, that we're referring it back to staff. Do you want to read it again?
It was moved by Councillor Bardo, seconded by Councillor Connell, to refer this matter back to staff to reconsider councillors' concerns on the process related to the timing of meetings.
I think it's the timing and the substance, but, you know.
Can there be, should it be
Would
amended?
someone like to make a motion that it be the timing and the substance of amendment moved by Councillor Longmire?
Do you just want to have a friendly amendment to say timing and substance?
Can we do a friendly amendment? The timing and the substance? Okay, we're doing that. I will say I'm gauging the consensus of council that they want this. So the motion's been read. I did see Ms. Campbell's hand up. I'd like to call for the motion. Is there something you need to say?
Can I ask very quickly, what, if this motion is passed, would you see as being staff's next step? Because I've heard wide dissatisfaction, but I'm not sure that staff could gather from this discussion what they should do as a next step. Would you want a meeting arranged with Stantec, for example?
No, we're just going to refer it to staff, and hopefully staff's going to do the right thing and keep communicating with us and telling us what's going to happen. I don't think, we're not going to go down the road of everybody trying to tell staff what to do, if you don't mind. I'm going to call for a vote. I'm going to call for a vote on the motion. If you really, we've had a good discussion. It's an open-ended referral to staff. Hopefully they've heard us. If they haven't, they can watch it online. And hopefully it's going to come back to us in a form that we're happy with. So I'm going to call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Good discussion, Council. Thank you for bringing that up. Now, obviously, there were concerns. Anything else? I say with some confidence.
That's another can of worms.
Adjourning the meeting, are you?
Councilor Red?
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Yes.
Seconds. Councilor Longmire seconds. All those in favor say aye.